Hi everybody, I'm Patty from Madly Learning, and I just want to show you today how I put together my WonderWall for my brand new Forces Acting on Structures and Pulleys and Gears unit. I went this morning to the dollar store and I picked up some supplies to help me create my WonderWall. One is a tri-fold poster board. Now you don't need this, you could just use your bulletin board in the classroom, but I do like having the tri-fold board because I can post it up on the bulletin board when we're not using it, but I can also bring it down when I'm working with small groups of students to continue to revisit our wall. It just makes it a little bit more accessible. I got some letter stickers, which are wonderful because you can peel and re-stick and remove, so it's perfect for putting it on the board. And I just attached it to the top of my board for WonderWall. I've also taken the photos from the WonderWall section at the beginning of the unit, and I've cut them out and I've just put them on the back of some construction paper that I also found at the dollar store, and I have the titles to go at the top. Now, because I use my WonderWall over and over again for each different subject, I don't actually glue the cards onto the board. I just use a combination of a handy stapler and some sticky tack. It makes it so much easier to remove this unit when it's done and then be able to reuse the board, because these poster boards aren't the cheapest, so I like to be able to reuse it when I can. So you'll notice that there's already marks on that Wonderboard if you look closely at it, because this is something I've used before for other units and other presentations. So the best part about this sticker letters is that it came with this blank paper, and which is great because I teach a 4-5, so I like to put both grades on the same WonderWall. Just takes up less space. So I'm just going to use this to make a little line that's going to go down the middle of the WonderWall. So just make it the same size as the ruler. Not sure how much I'm going to need to go down. I'm actually just going to be making a dashed line instead of a straight line, just to break it up a little bit. So this is the beginning of my WonderWall. This is how I would start my unit, just with a blank wall with just simply the labels of the subjects that we're starting. So for this WonderWall, it would be the Forces Acting on Structures for the grade 5s and Pulleys and Gears for the grade 4s. So to start my unit, I group students together in a conversation circle and hand out these cards to students, and I have them look at it, at each card, look at their neighbor's card, and then I ask them a few questions. What do they notice? What are they wondering or questioning about? What background knowledge do they have? Have they seen these objects before? What do they know about them? What did these pictures and words make you think of? And often these questions will lead to further questions, which is great for inquiry. It leads to a lot of student discussion, because often you'll have at least 1 or 2 students that might have some background knowledge about this that they can share with the class. It helps you understand what your class knows before you start. And I find that it's a great way to build up curiosity and interest in your unit so that students are far more engaged as the unit continues, because as they're learning, they know that there's already questions that they're answering just by learning the activities. I'll have students take these cards after our discussion and have them sort them into like pictures. For example, here's how my grade 5s grouped their photos. We've got pictures of structures, and we have natural structures here. So students recognize that those were structures that are naturally occurring. We have other structures of buildings like the Eiffel Tower. One of the students recognized that that was the inside of a ceiling. Students also looked at this card and came to the conclusion that bridges would be a focus of our structures unit, which they were very interested in. Sometimes through a conversation circle, students will come up with groups of cards that they're not quite sure what they mean. This group of cards for my grade 5 students They didn't have a lot of background knowledge. Some of them made some guesses as to what they thought these words meant, but they really didn't know what these words meant in relation to the rest of the unit. So they had lots of questions. This is a great learning opportunity because it allows students to get that interest and curiosity so that they can look for those answers as they're learning. It's great when students don't know the answer. And the hard part about a conversation circle is that the students have a lot of questions, and as a teacher, we just want to answer those questions for them. But it's really important during the conversation circle in this WonderWall building that those questions remain unanswered and you stop yourself from teaching them in a traditional sense about the answers to these questions. It's far more valuable when students find their answers themselves. So this is the completed WonderWall that I've created for my Pulleys and Gears and Structures unit. This is completed after the first lesson and the WonderWall activities have been done. This is the inspiration for the rest of the unit. And as students and myself are working through the unit, we are constantly revisiting this WonderWall, answering some of the student questions on sticky notes. And when students find their answers on sticky notes, I'll often just use another colored sticky note to put the answer right beside the question. That way visually students can see that yellow represents questions that we have and say pink represents questions that we have answered. So students will know when they still have questions that are unanswered. So throughout the unit, you continue to add to this board. I've often found students will add other pictures that they bring from home as they find new things. And it's quite a unique board that is living and active all throughout the unit that students can reference. I hope you've enjoyed this video on how to make a WonderWall. And hopefully this inspires you to use WonderWalls in your classroom too. If you'd like more information about WonderWalls, please see my blog at www.madlylearning.com. And if you'd like more information about the Pulleys and Gears or Forces Acting on Structures units, they're available in my Teachers Pay Teachers store.